Okay, welcome back to another CartoonSmart.com tutorial. Today we're going to be using Procreate, and we're going to focus in on a comic book style illustration. And we're going to, I guess a lot of our focus here is going to be shading and coloring clothing, but of course we got to start with something or other. So let's just kind of rough in a standing character here. And I guess kind of the good news is that if he's fully clothed, well, you don't have to see me try to draw somebody that is not fully clothed, right? All right, so kind of shoulders. Look at this guy, sort of like a little bounty hunter style swagger, or Western. Kind of leaning up against the wall, or sauntering in somewhere. You can see I've just got the technical pencil. Well, it says modified, but for the life of me, I can't remember what modification I made to that. Nothing important, probably. And if at any time I need to scale this up or down, see where that arrow is pointing up there, I'll just hit that. Move this around to kind of get a better view on it. Okay, so I think one of the main things we'll do is add a lot of kind of potential ripples and things like that to the shirt. You can see I'm obviously been very, very loose about how I'm drawing this thing. I'm kind of pulled back quite a bit on the, I'm not zoomed in much, so I tend to be really loose then. If I was kind of zoomed in like this, then I can kind of do things like that. But while we're drawing clothing, I'd sort of say almost the looser you are, the better, and you kind of end up with maybe some happy surprises in there. I have found that this looks kind of nice, though. So, for example, see what's happening at just this one little spot is I've got a kind of a natural, sort of a canal maybe type thing going on with this side's, little swoopy line, and this one's over here. So I'd say if you can kind of naturally get a lot of those in there, that'll look good. Almost sort of like a guy could run through a maze in there, or kind of like a loopy track, and do something like this. What I would like to avoid here is just a straight arm down, which is sort of happening at the moment. Of course, that's always something we could correct later. Maybe bring that over just a little bit, and then get an arm in here. And again, this is really just going to be kind of a loose thing to figure out. Do we have the size right? Kind of the head scale right? One thing I think every artist sort of struggles with is if you're kind of too close to the canvas, you have to almost pull back on it. Even in the digital world, you almost have to sort of shrink down your picture and look at it like that and see, does the head look right? Things like that. Okay, so again, just kind of scribbling my way in here. And if this is obviously we've got kind of a thinner sort of pose for this guy. And so probably what you would not see is things like this, these type lines, because if we're trying to give the impression that his clothing is loose, this is maybe not the most built up guy, most muscular guy in the world. And again, since we're going to kind of focus in a lot on clothing, let's give this guy a cape, right? So we'll kind of, maybe not a cape. I'm thinking sort of more of a cloak type thing. So we'll kind of swoop that down here. And then, so where you've got lines like these, obviously you'd want to maybe bunch it up a little bit at the top. Yeah, kind of do that extra fabric hanging forward a little bit. All things that will make for some very interesting shading later on. Give this guy some buttons over here. And again, kind of the loose Han Solo style belt. So you got something like this happening. Maybe give him a big old belt buckle here. I can make that shiny, kind of play around with some shinier aspects. We certainly left ourselves enough room for a little bit of maybe like a holster over this way. Something like that. Now let's go ahead and get the jeans in. And then or the pants. Whatever they are. Khakis. His old Navy clothing. Arm-wise, I'm kind of thinking of doing something where he's like holding something over that way. But let's see. Kind of do something like this. So maybe it almost even seems like he's sort of walking a bit toward us. So his leg's kind of pulled back. And sometimes when I'm kind of doing these initial sketches like this, I try to think of things as almost flexible like clay. So I'm not being too committal. If you see me kind of do a dark line, that maybe means, well, I like where that's headed. But again, you could think about this leg as maybe moving forward, something like that. Might undo that a little bit, though. I can kind of figure that out later. So again, kind of bunching up the clothing a little bit. So maybe this is tucked in, which means we could get some lines kind of coming out this way. This arm is probably I don't know, is it way too long? If you stand up straight, you look at yourself in the mirror, you probably notice that your hand does not stretch all the way down to your knees. So we could always fix that real quick. Go over here to the freehand selection. You can see right next to that arrow I pointed out earlier. We can kind of go over here and just grab, maybe this part of it, and then hit the arrow and kind of pull that back up. Again, that's like I was saying earlier. I think that's the type of thing that you got to watch out for. If I didn't actually have this on freeform for the selection, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. That means I can kind of do some rotations and things. And let's see, yeah. Okay, so again, I almost feel like I've arced it a bit too much. That could be something that we'll deal with between the videos. But all right, so let's get kind of draw a little head in here. Right. Again, I think your most important thing with this, and I probably should have started a new layer for it so I could kind of rotate it and do things like that. Maybe I'll go ahead and do that. Is just getting the size sort of perfect right off the bat. It's always annoying if you've, gotten to the very end of a drawing, maybe you've merged together the layers and things, and then you realize, holy cow, I drew this giant head on this guy, And I think we could probably even go down a little bit on it. Maybe tilt it. Kind of saying, hey, what's your problem? What's your deal, dude? Okay. So again, let's take a look at our shoulders here. Kind of use this straight line across here to figure out where those upper ripples would be. And, maybe this guy is kind of holding a big old blaster gun or something like that. Now, if we want to select everything, and actually now I've kind of ended up working on 2 layers. That's all right. I can swipe right. So, if you swipe left or right, you can get some extra options for your layers over here. But, so I got my main blue one, layer 1 selected here. And then if I swipe right on layer 2, you'll notice it makes it's a little bit of a darker blue, but it just indicates that it is also selected. So then I can go over here and kind of do some stuff like this. I can get it all moving together at once, and this to me feels a little bit better. Oh, well, I was going to basically shrink it down so I could fit some sort of big old blaster in there. And, all right, so now maybe, I don't know what to do with those legs. It said every artist everywhere. Let's just cut them off. I think you'd probably be hard pressed to find an artist that said, "Yeah, my favorite thing is drawing legs." or hands, even fewer for hands. All right, so my big old ray gun. It'd be fun to, kind of almost play against the Western motif here, and instead of having a, a 6-shooter or something like that, give them this big old silly ray gun blaster type thing, right? So there'd be kind of the trigger he's holding, these crazy piping up this way, stuff like that. Maybe make it one of those guns that just kind of keeps on going, right? That type thing. Okay, so he's sort of got that thing over his head. Yeah, who knows what's going on with those legs? But it'll give us a challenge for later, right? Well, see, now this feels like the leg that's doing this, kind of the supporting of the body, and this is the one that's moving forward. So, again, yeah, we'll figure it out later. But, again, I'd probably put a little bit more out here on this side for that arm. Let's see. Can't forget that part. Indicate that he is a guy, right? or is he? We don't know, really. If we're gonna have a kind of a masked type bounty hunter figure, it could be anything, right? So let's see, maybe some sort of, always like these things, the like a bandana is tied and blowing in the wind, and then of course we did start him off with this little cloak over here, so we've got to kind of continue with that. That'll give us something to play with, a little that type action there. So we can kind of draw that in. Darken it up even in our sketch here, so we sort of get an idea of where we're going to go with that. Maybe give him some kind of cool glasses, right? Some specs. Big old goggles, maybe, right? Those are always fun to draw. And I do mean that. Goggles are always fun to draw, aren't they? Some sort of thing up that way. Okay, so you got the whole deal. One thing I want to do is make it so that the shoulders seem like they're leaning forward a little bit. And I guess I can just kind of give that indication right there. Maybe we'll do some sort of, I don't know, insignia or medals, shoulder medals. That's a thing. Shoulder pads. Medals on your shoulder pads. How about that? Like whatever branch of the bounty hunter military he was from. That's where they put those things. All right. Well, again, we'll just kind of unnecessarily adding to this at this point. I think we've kind of completed the essence of what will eventually be. Let's put it that way. This hand, I kind of want to make it seem like he's, tensed up a little bit. So yeah, I would say if you're in your initial sketch, if you get done, you say, okay, I see where this is headed. I'd probably curve this down just a little bit. I think you're off to a good start. Heck, we probably even have enough. Probably even scale it all down, actually finish it off, right? Do the boots and stuff like that. Like you might have still got both of those layers selected, so that's how I'm able to do that. Ooh, you know what? I don't know. Maybe not. I think I might have drawn that knee a little bit. Let's see. Does that look like he's tall enough? It's hard to, again, I gotta kind of pull back on that just to double check it. Oh, jumped the shark. You messed it up now. Just to try to mess with the legs. It does kind of feel a little bit like a cop-out if we don't go ahead and do everything, right? That's probably a bit... I think I'd probably want to show less on this one, and then... All right. So something like that. We'll fix it in post. All right. I won't waste much more time in the precious screen capture, but something like this. And again, yeah, I might go in here after in a video break and do some adjustments to it. But I feel like it's getting there. All right, so that's what we'll use as our sketch, and I guess you could kind of consider this your an unnecessary prequel to a much longer discussion on coloring this guy in and clothing and all that other fun stuff. All right, so there you go.